The last time we heard DICE or EA addressing the myriad of controversial issues plaguing Star Wars Battlefront 2 and its predatory practices was November 16th, 2017, the night before the game launched. On the 11th hour, they announced that they would be temporarily pulling microtransactions from the game, apologizing that they didn't get this right, that this was never their intention, and all of the usual PR bullshit that comes with a game developer or publisher getting caught with their pants down. Though they did try to mitigate some of the damage later on by announcing some changes to the way Battlefront 2 awards in-game currency like credits and crafting parts. The fact remained that the removal of microtransactions had left the progression system completely broken, as it had been designed entirely around monetizing players through loot box purchases. Now, for my part, I think Battlefront 2 is a lost cause. I can't possibly conceive going back to a game that was originally intended to be so shamelessly exploitative. It'd be like trying to go back to a relationship in which the significant other only dated you for money. But with the resources that EA poured into Battlefront 2, there is no way that they're willing to give up so easily. And while Battlefront 2 didn't meet sales expectations, the game did still sell a couple million copies. So that's still a lot of people who are eagerly anticipating, or bystanders who are at the very least curious about EA's plans to fix the mess that they created. But ever since microtransactions were pulled and credits earnings were boosted, it's pretty much been radio silent from them. We do know that microtransactions are coming back one way or another, but we have no idea what form that will take exactly, and the jury's still out on whether EA will go out of their way to build some rapport with their community for once by rebuilding the game's progression system so that it's less service and more game. You would think that after messing up so badly, Battlefront 2's developers would be actively communicating with the community rather than being so secretive about their future agenda. But as it turns out, developers over at DICE have wanted to communicate more openly with the community, but recent developments have prevented them from doing so. The following information comes from a Reddit user going by the name of TaylorK64. In a post published about a month ago, the user detailed a recent communication they had with one of DICE's producers. When the Reddit user reached out for an interview to talk about the state of Battlefront 2, the producer responded as follows: "Heya, as you know, I'm all about transparency, and I've done Skype calls with the community previously, and as much as I would love to do it again, I really can't due to some policies I'm restricted by. So what I can do is answer the Reddit to the extent I can and be as transparent as possible in my Twitter feed and forum posts." Now, the DICE producer doesn't explicitly mention EA as the party responsible for these restrictions, but I can't think of any other entity who could have mandated such a policy. After all, it was communication such as EA's infamous sense of pride and accomplishment response, which became the most downvoted comment in Reddit history by a vast margin, that sparked the flames that culminated in the Battlefront 2 controversy wildfire. So on some level, I can't say that I blame EA for wanting to shut the hell up for once. It looks like they've finally become self-aware of how every time they open their mouths, they can't help but say something utterly apathetic or moronic that only digs them into a deeper hole. Not to mention that from a business perspective, it does make sense to just sit tight until the storm that has become the gaming community passes. But if you ask me, restricting communication is only going to make matters worse in the long run, and I don't think the storm will be passing anytime soon, not completely at least. Silence is only going to make the community more anxious and paranoid of EA, as all they can expect based on past history is that EA is secretly planning another underhanded scheme, one that they hope will go over our heads this time around. EA needs to understand that it's not just the talking that's done all the damage, it's the consistent display of deceit and malicious intent through exploitative schemes that they keep writing off as being for the player's benefit. People have wised up to the stink of their bullshit. At this point, their strategy shouldn't be to go dark for a couple weeks until the storm passes. Now's the time to build some rapport with the community and communicate on a constant basis to detail step by step what their plan is to get it right next time. EA should try to do what to them is seemingly the unthinkable and talk to us with honesty for once. But then again, maybe EA simply can't afford to be honest because they have so much shady shit to hide, because of how how many skeletons they have in their closet. I get the sense that being honest may prove to be fatal for EA, as we would see just how far the rabbit hole of predatory practices go, and that would open up a whole can of worms. EA is a company that's run by crooks after all, and crooks thrive and survive on lies and deceit. Crooks can't afford to tell the truth because that would only reveal how rotten they are at their core, and their enterprise would be over right there and then. So EA's best tool might be silence after all. Perhaps they have too much to lose by being honest. But EA can only hide from the storm for so long. One of these days, they'll have to face the music of their plummeting reputation, the stigmatization of loot boxes, and the threat of government intervention. In the meantime, though, I guess their current strategy is to wait it out and prevent developers from talking directly with the community. It's worth noting that ever since the DICE producer replied to the Reddit user, his Twitter account has since been deactivated. I don't know if this was by choice or if his communication with the Reddit user violated the recently enacted policies, but the timing is certainly suspicious. There have also been reports that EA has been cracking down on negative comments in the Battlefront 2 forums, and we aren't just talking about toxic comments, but also anything offering criticism, however constructive they may be, and all of this is apparently nothing new for EA. Also, if you go to the portal listing EA Games forums, Battlefront 2 is nowhere to be found. So yeah, it's safe to say that EA is in full damage control mode, though I can't say that censoring information, twisting the narrative, and silencing honest communication will get them too far. That's just one man's opinion though. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video informative, and if you enjoy my content, consider supporting me on Patreon to help this channel stay independent and self-sustained. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.